What's up, everyone? Welcome to Power Play with CJ. Having any questions about what coaches are on the hot seat, or what coaches I think are should be fired or will be fired, and the direction of the team and what it means for those particular teams moving forward. I wrote down 6 names. I'll go 1 through 6 with my thoughts on each one. Number one is Barry Trotz. I think he's going to get fired, and it's not something I want. I mentioned it in the housing piece, but what I didn't mention was when I was down on the Bruins bench, watching housing and watching, Nashville warm up. He was kind of like off to the side in the runway. He just looks depressed, and I know maybe I'm just reading too much of body language, but he didn't look like someone that was thrilled to be. First of all, he didn't look like he was energetic coaching, and I'm not trying to knock on him. I think he knows, and the organization knows his number, and he's been a mainstay in that franchise as much as he's been as consistently linked to that franchise as developing great defense. You know what I mean? But I think his tenure in Nashville is going to come to a close soon, which is unfortunate. Mike Yeo in Minnesota. I thought he was going to be gone after that losing streak. I think he waits. I think he stays this season, but if they don't go to at least the second round of the playoffs, he's not back next year. It's that. Kirk Muller in Carolina. I think he's gone. Just the team isn't playing up to standard. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that teams assembled. They're spending money, but they're not spending it correctly. I mean, so they probably should have been smarter than giving Jordan Stahl $6 million a year for the next 10 years just because he's Eric's brother. I mean, I understand he's playing the ice, got a lot to do with it, but it wasn't worth $60 million. I mean, it's not. You look at the guys he played with in Pittsburgh; those guys are worth 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million for God's sakes, and he's maybe 4 million a year. And if you're gonna spend money, spend it responsibly, or else you're I'm just without a battle. But I think Kirk Muller is gonna be the fall guy in Carolina. Jack Capuano on the island. I think he stays the season, if anything, out of pure arrogance by the Islanders, not willing to. I think he's had some faults. And again, I think a lot of it had to do with the way the team was assembled. But this year, I thought the team was assembled pretty well. After going to the playoffs last year, going out getting Vanek, giving up a lot to get Vanek, and then just taking a nosedive. But I think that's a front office look at themselves just as much because they don't say you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And I think they could do a better job building around Tavares. I mean, the goaltending situation is an absolute mess. They should have gone in after Bernier, I think, but that's just my opinion. You go a step further, the same organization that gave Ricky Pietro 15 years, and all those millions of dollars, and are now paying him to, I guess sit in Winthrop right now and do whatever. I don't know what he's up to. I know being a quality NHL goalie isn't what he's up to, though. Dallas Aikens in Edmonton. He's going to stay because the organization's arrogant. I don't like the fit. They should cut bait with him, to be honest. I thought Kruger was a better coach, and you can't say, well, last year, well, they're worse off than they were last year. I mean, are they better this year than they were last year? Is there consistent signs of progress from the younger players? And, a lot of that falls on the shoulders of the players, but, the coaching staff got to take responsibility, and it's not so much the coaching staff, it's the front office putting that coaching staff in place because I don't think it was, necessary to fire Kruger. I don't know what else was going on there, but like I said, they're exponentially worse off than they were last year. And that's Aikens has something to do with it. I think he's coached the creativity out of Yakubov to a certain degree. And again, I think Yakubov has to be held more accountable, but I mean, so do a lot of the guys on that team. And I think it's full desperation. They're 13 games under 500 in a year that they're supposed to take steps forward. Maybe not compete or maybe not make the playoffs, but compete for a playoff spot and show signs of life. I mean, this team is abysmal, and it's not getting any better this season or that. But they won't fire Akins because I just think they're going to save face. They'll be there. Whoever they replace will be the fourth coach in 3 years. So that's what you look at. And finally, Claude Noel in Winnipeg. I think he's gone. If not during the season, at the end of the season, I think the honeymoon period in Winnipeg's over. The first year, oh my God, we got our Jets back. Last year, the lockout really didn't give them a fair shot, but this year playing in a tougher Western Conference, it's just made it difficult for Winnipeg, and they haven't competed for a playoff spot. Like that go back to the Evans thing. It's not necessarily making the playoffs. It's about being there, being competitive, and giving the fans something to root for. And they haven't done that since they've been back in Winnipeg. And a lot of the bad habits that they formed in Atlanta as an organization die hard. And I think you look at the fan base in Winnipeg. It's not necessarily knocking the fans in Atlanta. It's just they demand more. And the front office and the coaching staff haven't delivered, and a lot of it falls on the shoulders of players as well. But I think it's going to be an interesting situation to watch, and just stand for the other side. But I'm curious to see how the fans react at the end of the season, considering I don't see the Jets making the playoffs. But I say that, and then they could have bag on my face come April. And their team I want to see in the playoffs, because back in the '90s when they're still up there in front of the Phoenix, those playoff games were awesome. The fans of the White Towers and everything. But anyway, that's my episode of the Power Play with CJ on Coaches possibly on the hot seat. Stay tuned for more episodes for the season and beyond. Later, guys.